Hello everybody, and as you will have seen from that intro, we have made our next big decision on who we are going to hire as our teammate. We have decided to hire David Coulthard, one of the icon drivers, finally to our team, which means it's the end of the road for Dan Ticktum, despite some good performances as of late in this last few rounds with the team, and unfortunately Silverstone, where I might have run into him. But apart from that, it's a new era. We have the Scot, a driver that's, from the start of when I first started watching him, he was certainly one of the quickest out there, but he said he wasn't the most consistent. But thankfully, we are going to be giving David Coulthard a whole new lease of life in this Formula 1 2021 career mode. If you're unaware of what happened last time before the mid-season break in Hungary, then do go check out the video. I will set up a link to the video on the top right, so go and check that one out. But well, as we turned up to 105, things have been a little bit tumultuous, I have to say. But we're slowly getting through, scoring points every now and then. I may consider turning the difficulty down because I just don't think I've got the skill set to compete with 105. So we're going to probably after this round, we're going to turn it down a notch, probably back to 100, just so we've got the car underneath us and we've got a place that's more reflective of my skill set. But if you're liking this series and want to see more content, then do hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It would be nice to have you around, and it will certainly help me to produce more and more videos in the upcoming weeks. So we are actually going to take a bold decision and rush our first upgrade. It's a power upgrade, so we have every reason to rush it, bearing in mind that we have got the Belgian Grand Prix coming up just after the mid-season break. But beforehand, we've got ourselves an interview with Will Buxton, which we are going to skip and get right back down to the activities and see if my power upgrade has finally come through for the Belgian Grand Prix. We've got this, we've got Holland, and we've also got Monza. Two of the three are very power-hungry circuits, so I really need this upgrade to go through if we are going to stand a chance. And coming through, it's failed.
Some new developments to come through, but some of them have failed quality control. We'll need to tell the team what to redevelop via the R&D screen.
And that is a problem. We're going to be a little bit down on power compared to others. I mean, I know we've got Renault, which is hands down the most... well, when I signed, it was the best power unit so far on the grid. But we still need to keep developing because compared to the straights, where there's the only place where I can gain some time on these guys because I'm just getting absolutely dominated in the corners in whatever I play. The setup's not quite helping there as well. They generally kind of feels quite understeery. I haven't quite got the grip where I want it just to charge off into the distance. So we are going to make sure that power upgrade is there for Monza at least. Like, I'm happy we've got the Dutch Grand Prix in between because that's one way to focus our efforts, and it should be... It's not necessarily a power-hungry circuit, it's a place where you need downforce more than anything. As we went to practice, generally the feeling of the car was, during the straights, absolutely phenomenal, but in the corners, hasn't quite got the grip that I needed. And just, even during a phone call there, I'm still struggling to get out of the power. Coulthard, like me, was delivering very much on the resource points. So as you see on the grips on the screen, plenty of resource points for us to take to the bank for potential upgrades for the car. And plenty more discount points as well. A lot was focused around durability and power and a little bit on the aero as well. But generally, I think chassis is an area we need to invest in. We just haven't quite got the funds available to us. And I can see that a lot more in durability. But the problem is we're not getting all of the race interviews because that's where a lot of our money is coming from for our sponsors. So once you come round to renewing our contracts, we may need to have a rethink of that, bearing in mind what we can and can't do with what the car's capable of. Like, if we can score points, that'll really, really help us. And all the practice seasons, I can get them pretty much done behind closed scenes for the video. So after practice, we are going to get ourselves... Are we going to think about rushing this upgrade? Yes, no, we're not going to rush the upgrade, but it is a very big aerodynamic upgrade, and boy do I need it, because, like I said, the car is still going very badly in the corners, even though we're third best, and the performance tree doesn't quite reflect how I'm able to push it, or how I'm not really able to push it as much as I would like. But nevertheless, we're going down into the qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. I'm expecting to at least, I think probably Q2 is realistically the best of what we can do with a car that's got a lot of power. It's almost like the 2001 Williams in a way, that was not so good in the corners, but it had a lot of power behind it. And as you will see, it's looking like it is going to rain. And rain is certainly not my friend on this game. I'm not very good with it, and I hope it doesn't stick around for long. It looks like it's going to wet a little bit more during the race, so I'm just going to make some quick setup adjustments. I'll lower the tyre pressures, see if I can get a bit more grip. Post a bit more downforce as well. I think one thing I'm finding is that with the cars generally, they run with the tyre pressures, the bigger you go, obviously the more straight line speed you'll eventually have, but you have to be so careful with deploying the power, but hopefully the trade-off works. But I think I'm going to have to compromise a little bit. And as you'll see during this lap, at the end of qualifying, we're still struggling through the long speed corners. As we come down to Rouge, this will be the final lap that we're getting through. It wasn't my tidiest, I'm sorry I'm not showing you all of it, but it wasn't my tidiest lap. As we come across the line, as we see where we go compared to our teammate DC, we're expecting him at least to get through to Q2. And look at that. 1.2 seconds ahead of us. 1.2! God, this is making me look like the Alessio Deleda of F1 career mode YouTubers. God, I realised I probably set myself up with that one. So once we've got through to Q2, we are going to set our run really late and see what we can do there. It looks like the rain is going to be holding off, which means we should be able to get a good run on dry tyres, thankfully. Make a couple more setup changes to the diff, so hopefully that helps us in terms of performance. But as we come down to the running lap, we go through and we set ourselves a bit of a banker time, which is not one of the best, it has to be said. Just there. Bit of an awkward turn into Rouge for us. It was very much brake as late as you can, but the turning was so tight and didn't quite get the way we wanted it. Even with the racing line, it's showing yellow, showing we're going so fast through the Rouge, but thankfully we've got enough grip to make everything stick. We should have a very good sector 1 as we come down to Les Combes. Once again, a fare for us, we go down to 5th gear, but we get a little bit of understeer on the right-hander as it comes down to the tight right-hander at Podium. I think you have to brake so early for this part, and I tried to brake early, but it's just overshooting. It goes so wide. It's such an off-camber left-hander that just completely throws you off. But as you'll see on the screen now, this is when the rain is starting to come down. We have left it horrendously late and got to a point where the rain is coming down now, and that was not going to make our time so much easier. I was actually very nervous when I was in the middle of recording this, and because that just is, I mean, the grip is just going to get lower and lower, and I'm not exactly improving on my best times either. As it comes down to the second quality, we're up on our times, but not by much. As we come down to Blanchimont to another bus stop's going to fill up the lap. We come down, but unfortunately we have not improved much at all. We don't even break into the 1 minute 30s. It's still the 1 minute 40 for us. But how does that stack up compared to everybody else? And hopefully Coulthard should be through as well. And yes, Coulthard is through, so GG's to him. But sadly, we are 15th. 6/10 off Coulthard and nearly 2 seconds off the pace of the leaders since what are supposedly the third best car. I think we may need to be turning this back down to 100 AI. What do you guys think in the comments? Do let me know, but I think if I'm not delivering on 105, then we got to make this series a little bit more fun and a bit more realistic to my skill level. So I suggest probably going down to 100 AI, but keeping sim damage on to make sure that it's still dangerous in some way. But yeah, here's the race.
Then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special around one of the many corners of this fan-favourite circuit. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track is a great one for fans of pure speed. The average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles an hour. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, all trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you know, you got your own race to run, I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Hamilton, Lando Norris and Leclerc, Sainz, Ricciardo, Gasly and David Coulthard, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Sebastian Vettel and Tsunoda, the owner driver, Raikkonen, Lance Stroll and George Russell, Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Mazepin and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Thankfully, there's no witticisms or anything from Jeff this time around. It's looking like it's going to rain, so I think I'm debating going on to the medium tyre until we just make sure we get it through. But I think I settle with the softs, with all things considered. So starting from 15th on the grid, what is going to hold on when the 5 lights go out? We are underway for the Belgian Grand Prix, and it wasn't the best start for us, and neither it was for Vettel. But we go down to the inside, and we put our trademark yeet into it, getting right into the point, and at the same point, taking the position over David Coulthard. So we fend off the McLaren going up into Eau Rouge. A place in real life we'll probably see an accident or two, but we've got the power advantage over the McLaren going down to the straight, and we're just going to use that to outdrag the McLaren. But we've got the AlphaTauri of Gasly, and we've got Coulthard behind us as well. But thankfully for us, we just managed to hold off the McLaren. The power advantage of the car really, really helping us. But we go wide coming out of Les Combes, and the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo goes down to the inside of the right-hander, the off-camber right-hander, which I struggle so much with. As we go wide through the left-hander, the back end of the car really does step out as Gasly behind us in the AlphaTauri puts a lot of pressure on us going down into the right left-handers. I can't remember the name of the corners off the top of my head. I am so sorry for my lack of wheel knowledge. But down and to the end of Sector 2, the long right, the long left, and down into what is Stabilo. At least I remember that piece. As to come down to the end of the third sector, this is where I should be able to catch the McLaren of Ricciardo in front of us, who, let's be honest, it was a brilliant overtake that he pulled on us, but the thing for us, we definitely need to get better when it comes to sorting the car out. It's more, we got to take more of a slow in, fast out approach. As we go down to the bus stop chicane, we sense an opportunity. We don't take one, but we take 2 cars going into the bus stop. We go wide, but I think we're going to maintain the position. Yes, we are. My career mode, my rules and all that. And we are going to make sure we overtake the Ferrari, which I think is Charles Leclerc. Yes, it looks like it's Charles Leclerc, who's going to lose out to the McLaren, I think, of Ricciardo. Our exit was not so strong, but it's enough to stay potentially with Lando Norris coming down the other cars in front of us. Get into a fight between themselves. It's coming on to lap 2. We are going down through the left-hander now. We're going to go down wide, and we get a track warning for that as we go wheel to wheel with Carlos Sainz, and it looks like the Ferrari is holding on. As you see on the screen with the left indicator, we have to leave some space for the Ferrari to come down to Stabilo, down to the inside, and there we have it, guys. As you can see on the screens, the rain is starting to come back. The rain is on its way. and we will find ourselves changing onto the intermediate tyres before long, I highly suspect, because as you know, the rain in Spa is very intermittent.
Strategy is available on the MFD.
So we've got ourselves a new strategy option, but I think the track is... No, we're going to come in. We're going to come in on this lap, and at the same time as well, I believe... Yes, that all the other drivers go behind us, but sadly, COULTHARD is behind us as well, so we are going to have to double stack as a team. As lead driver, I would kind of say we would get priority here, but sadly, it's going to hurt COULTHARD, but I'm sorry, David, but I'm going to have to do it. I think your bad luck in real life F1 is going to continue in my career mode, it seems. It's cost him a little bit of time. It's going to cost him about 5 or so seconds, so he will drop down as a consequence. But for us, we come out back onto the track with the track. As you can see visibly on the screen, it's definitely wet enough to warrant the intermediates, because it's coming down quite heavily here as we struggle to get used to these tyres.
Before the end of the race, start being a little conservative with the remaining fuel, please. That means
Yes,
lifting off
Jeff,
the throttle
I know
and
be
moving
conservative with the fuel,
brake
but we've got drivers in front of us who are still on the dry tyre, so despite our lack of prowess in the corners, we could potentially make up some places in the cars in front of us. I have no idea why some of the people wanted to stay out. As you see Lando Norris coming out of the pits, he pitted lap in front of us, so as you see right behind, we just managed to get him coming out of the pit lane on lap 5. We have managed to leapfrog the McLaren where we were stuck behind due to his battle with Carlos Sainz. And right behind we have a very, very messy exit. You see us just go behind. Lando Norris coming round to the outside of us going into Les Combes. Is he going to be able to make the overtake work? We defend aggressively. No, he can't. But we overshoot the corner, trying to maintain the position, as Daniel Ricciardo in front of us is still on the dry tyres, and that is going to cost him as he goes off. Does a Giovinazzi and goes off on that same place where it went off in 2019. The only difference is at least Giovinazzi dropped it on dry conditions. This is changing, and Ricciardo will surely have some damage to his car after that, but we have got to defend from the hard charging Lando Norris behind us, who is absolutely fired up from that pit stop of having to lose that position to us. But from our perspective, we just got to find a rhythm. I'm struggling to find a rhythm on these tyres, as it seems, as we come down outside of Stabilo and into Blanchimont. This is where the straight line speed of the car should protect me from any kind of overtake that Lando wants to make. I think it's really in the middle sector that the McLaren's going to be able to conjure an overtake on me. We go a little bit wide there, but it thankfully doesn't compromise us too much. It's come down to the end of lap 5 onto lap 6. And let's see what's happened here. The safety car has been deployed. So there's clearly an incident on track. I imagine, I suspect it will probably be for Daniel Ricciardo. As we go on board with him, we're going to see how that accident played out. I think it was Daniel Ricciardo. So as you would have seen, he's on dries and he's got damage to his car. So it looks like he's just pushed probably a little bit too hard. And look, yeah, and he just lost the back end. He almost had contact actually with the Williams. And that just careers him into the barrier. And I have to be honest, from that angle, it doesn't look like that was much of an impact. But it still puts Daniel Ricciardo out of the race in the McLaren. Bad form for him. I don't understand why he didn't come into dry sooner, because as you'll have seen, it is absolutely deluging out here. I'm wondering now whether it's going to get wet enough to go to full wet tyres, but it looks like intermediates are the ones to run on for now, as the safety car on the end of lap 7 will be coming in at the end of that lap. We are behind, I believe, Bottas and Perez, and we actually found ourselves in 3rd place, so realistically, this could play out very, very well for us. As long as there are no mishaps and we don't have do anything stupid in terms of pace and mistakes, we could very well. I don't think we're going to end up with a podium, but we could score major points. And that is a bad exit for us coming out of the end of the bus stop chicane, as the 2 leaders are well and truly gone just before I even get to La Source. But the problem is I'm still struggling to find traction coming out of the corners, as we're still trying to defend. I think it's Pierre Gasly that's behind us now in the AlphaTauri. Yes, it is. You'll just see on board. We go wide yet again. That is going to give the AlphaTauri such a good run. But again, it's down to the outside, but he just will not have enough power to stop. You see on the screen, we've actually got damage to our front wing, so maybe that's causing a lot of our issues. But we almost bullied Gasly off. It was a very aggressive defensive maneuver from us, but that puts Lando Norris back behind us, and it puts Pierre Gasly with a little bit more work to do. And looking here, there's a lot of cars behind me. I'm causing a bit of a train, I have to say, because let's be honest, I don't think I'm actually cut out for 105. As you see what's happening with the Alpine, it's Alonso, he's slowing down. It looks like L plan is backfiring, and the Alpine has got some reliability issues. He comes down to retire the car. You'll see the engine smoking right next to the Alpine front wing, and bearing in mind where that's parked, I don't think we're going to need another safety car. And oh no, it looks like the VSC
car is out. There appears to have been an issue with multiple stopped vehicles on the track.
Multiple stopped vehicles. There was only one there, Jeff. I don't know what you're looking at yet again. But in any case, yet another safety car, so that protects me a little bit more from Lando Norris. But as you'll see on the screen, the tyres are actually starting to wear quite a lot as we once again play with the Delta, where the safety car comes in at the end of lap 11. So we've got half the race to do. We're not going to make it to the end, really. I'd rather have the fresh set of boots to be able to challenge. But we got a better exit out of the bus stop last time. But thankfully, it's not. Thankfully, it's protecting us a little bit from Norris. But our corner speeds are just not all that. As you've seen on the screen, as we have dropped so far behind Sergio Perez. I mean, not as much as the last restart, but it's clearly quite a sizable difference. As behind us, Lando Norris has got the edge on us, but we're not having the tiniest run up of our route either. We have got the McLaren right behind us. As you'll see, he's going to pull out to the inside of what's going to be the run up to Lecom. Go on board with Lando. It is still really, really wet out there. Very poorly put as Lando goes down to the inside, but he just backs out of it. He knows how aggressive we are in terms of defense, and it's worth not risking his race. Just in case we put him in the wall or something. Not that I would often to do that. But as we go so far wide from that right-hander, and Lando gets ahead of us, but we've got the inside line into the next corner, and we shut the door on Lando Norris straight away to protect our position. On lap 12, with these tyres, I think they're about sort of 25-30% wear now. I don't think they're going to be in a very competitive state come near the end of the race. So looking at our options here in terms of what we want to do, I think I'm going to play it safe and come in for a fresh set of intermediate tyres at the end of this lap. Just make sure, because I know I'm not the best in terms of turning speeds in general, but that's why I think I need to have the tyres there to give me the grip. As behind me, Carlos Sainz comes in. As there we have it, into the pit lane now. The Ferrari, we've got to get out ahead of him. It's got to be a good start for us. It looks like a few more people are coming in behind us as well. But Ferrari goes in for the pit stop. We got to go in as well. Let's have a good stop here, guys. Come on.
Go, go, go.
Right, that'll do. That'll do nicely. So that gets us ahead of the Ferrari. And we come out on lap 15. Still in the points. We lose the position to Gasly, but crucially, we come out in front of our teammate, David Coulthard, who sits currently in 11th place. So one of the IIRL Spark cars is in the points positions, and is the owner driver, myself. Coulthard with a little bit more work to do, but hopefully things should come to us, because I think there still may be some people out there who may come in for intermediates. That should help us get more and more into the points. And I think goes to show, like, with the car that we have and my skill set, I think we should probably bump this back down to 100 AI. So I think I probably will do that for the next round, which is in Holland. As we see Lewis Hamilton coming into the pits, coming out of the pits rather, just in front of us. I mean, there's no hope of us realistically overtaking the Mercedes. But to be there in a fight with the Mercedes, we're still right next to him, coming up to lap 16. I want to say that goes very, very wide there. That's not the line that we want to take. Coulthard still behind us as we come down to the right-hander. And in general, in this career modes, the way things are going, I think the car is definitely up there in terms of speed, but we're not. So we're going to have to obviously make some changes there. but the Spa track is certainly one of my favourites to drive. I think once you pull off some of the long corners without spinning the car like Giovinazzi did in 2019, it feels really good to drive. It seems in front of us, there's a bit of a train in front of us. If you see on the driver tracker, it looks like one of the Williams cars is holding up about 1, 2, 3, 4 cars, which is putting us back into play. And so us in front of the screen, it looks like it's George Russell, actually. So it's George Russell doing us a favour in the Williams by blocking off. But in that Williams is going to be in the points, so he's doing everything he can to defend. As he is getting a little bit crazy up there coming into the bus stop. Everyone darting around for position, but we sense an opportunity coming down to the inside of the Mercedes, and we're going to try and pull it off. We go for the inside on Lewis Hamilton, and look at that, we nearly barged tyres, but look at that, we have just overtaken a Mercedes. Maybe the game did have some sense in making Valtteri Bottas one of our main rivals, because we have just overtaken Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. But the Russell train has been halted because, as you've seen, Pierre Gasly now gets ahead of him, so he can now go off into the sunset. We have now got the task of overtaking George Russell with 3 laps to go in the Belgian Grand Prix. We've got to pick our opportunity carefully, because undoubtedly, even with me not doing this car a lot of justice, we are still much faster than the Williams. And here we see the move for ourselves as we're going down to the bus stop, just like we did to Lewis Hamilton. But this time, we are going to go around to the outside. Now, can we pull this one off? We've got to be very opportunistic, but we take the gap as we see it. And that is a lovely overtake on, let's be honest, a slower car. But it doesn't take away from the drive that we put in. That puts us up into 8th place, I think, in the points. So all things considered, a strong result for us so far. As we've seen, Hamilton now has overtaken Russell as they come up to Les Combes. And now it's Coulthard's opportunity to pass. David Coulthard, who we've just signed to this team to replace Dan Ticktum. He's on the outside, though, of the Williams, the team that he used to race for back in 94 and 1995. He won in Portugal with the team that year in 95 as Coulthard makes the move stick. I think it'll be too much for him to ask to get ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but still, the solid debut so far from Coulthard, who manages to salvage a point on his debut with a car that we can't quite fully get up there yet. We're still fending off Lewis Hamilton, and he's only about a second or so behind. He's less than a second behind us, though. Beg your pardon. As in front, my rival for some reason, and I think is a championship leader, Valtteri Bottas, comes across the line to win in Belgium and absolutely shatter us in the on-driver rivalry that we're having. However, the other Mercedes hasn't had it so well because of our brilliant pass at the bus stop. We've beaten Hamilton, and it's 8th place for us in Spa.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
What a great race then, and what a magnificent victory here at the Belgium Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
8th place in what was a tumultuous qualifying session where we just don't have the pace over a single lap, but thankfully things happen in the race that should work a little bit more in our favour. But yeah, good debut all around, I think, for Coulthard to get a point as well. Beating Hamilton was absolutely key. And no, that wasn't actually Max Verstappen, I beg your pardon. It was Sergio Perez that Valtteri Bottas was fending off. So well done, obviously, to Valtteri, and Sergio can quite make it work. But somehow Sebastian Vettel made it into P3 in the Aston Martin. Yet again, just like what happened in Spain, Vettel capitalising massively. Well, we boxed very early for intermediate tyres. We're in 6th place in the constructors standing. I've got to about 6th in the driver standings as well, but that's not going to last long, as I often say on the channel, as that's essentially it. Now, we're going to get creamed here, but as you can see, I mean, 5 for 2. in the rivalry breakdown for Valtteri Bottas. So, yeah, absolutely cream there in terms of the rivalry. But all things considered, a solid weekend. I mean, we've got 8th place, plenty of points, and a little bit more team acclaim as well. We've got to get it to above 20 so we can access our 4th sponsor. We're still not quite there yet, but we're going to be getting there, absolutely. So, I think that rounds up, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching this episode. And if you like the series, then do leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see some more racing content. I think with this one, with the way the pace of my channel is going, I think I'll probably round out this season. And I'll be doing League Racing back again on Sunday nights now. So do head over to my Twitch channel, leave a link in my description. And with Coulthard signing as well, that's quite a good thing for us. With myself, I think I'll probably continue until the end for this one, and to the end of the season, probably that'll be it, and then we'll see what other videos I want to make. But thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Spark. Stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.